Hello everybody, this is Edward and the topic for this video is going to be a pivot point, or in other words a center of the object. So another thing that we'll learn right now is how to split our view. Okay, so one thing is when we're talking about the pivots, it's important to see our object and what we're doing here in the hypergraph, which we talked in the previous videos. Under window we've got our hypergraph, but one thing that we can do here is actually split our panel. Let's go to panels, layout, and we can switch it to two panels side by side or two panels stacked. That will switch it into two sections, and now I can load anything that I want into any of these panels. So right now I've got same perspective view showing up in both panels. So we can go under panels here and say, instead of a perspective, what I want is a hypergraph. Where is it? So actually, panel, we have the outliner, but where is our hypergraph? Actually, there it is, hypergraph panel, hypergraph hierarchy. So right now it's loading our hypergraph in the upper section. So let's go ahead and bring that up this way. So let's create polygon cube. Notice that right away we've got that cube showing up in there. And let's also bring up our channel box here so we can see the coordinates. So again, the pivot point is a center. That's what we move, that's what we rotate, and that's what we scale. Or basically, in other words, this is the point around which our shape is moving, rotating, and scaling. Let's actually dig a little bit deeper here. So if we go under hypergraph here, and under options here we'll say display shape nodes, we're actually going to be able to see more stuff here. So notice that actually this cube right here, it's made out of two nodes. One is actually the pivot and the other one is the shape. So the shape defines how to construct this polygonal shape, how to put points in space, how to connect them with the edges, how to draw faces, and all of that information. And then on top of that, then we're given an anchor point, a pivot. Notice actually here that I can grab the shape here, select it, and hit delete to get rid of this. I still have the node, and that is our pivot. It's just simply a point in 3D space that can be moved, rotated, and scaled. And whatever information we give to it will translate and change our object. We can actually create a just a pivot point, and that we can do by using a group command. If we click on edit group while we've got nothing in the scene or nothing is actually selected, what it's gonna give us is a pivot. And that is the main actually difference between parenting and grouping. So when we have a polygon cube 1 and a polygon cube 2, I just duplicated it. Let's go ahead and hide our shapes for now. Two cubes, when we are parenting one to the other, there is no new object or no new element, no new node is created. We're simply establishing a relationship between an existing object. But if we do say group, we want to group them under one unique node, and that would be the group node. So at this point we can move cube 1 and move cube 2, they have no direct relationship between each other. But if I click on the group node, that is sort of a pivot point that controls multiple objects. So I mean, we can unparent or simply delete our cubes, but we will still be left with a group, which is again a pivot. Okay. One other thing about the pivot point is important to understand is most of the time the way we use the pivot point is we want to change where it is, because we want to manipulate our object from a specific location. For example, if I want to rotate from the center, that is the default. But what if I want to rotate from the bottom or the base of this cube? Now I need to change its position. Or if I want to scale from the bottom up, and just sort of preserve the bottom but move the top part of this cube upwards. So again, this is how we can change the pivot point location, and in order for us to do that, we need to switch to the edit pivot point mode. Okay, the way to do that is to use a hotkey. Okay, so one hotkey that's more or less universal across different types of operating system and keyboards is holding down D, as in dog, D. While you're pressing that that key down, you can move and adjust the position of your pivot point. Release D key, and you'll be able to, let me change this quickly to, let's say, orthographic front. There we go. So releasing the D key will go back to the regular move or whatever your current tool is. So release it. Right now we are in scale. So now you can scale from the bottom of this cube, or rotate from the bottom of this cube. I can also move that pivot point back into the center, and the way to do that would be to go to Modify, Center, Pivot, and I will find sort of an average location inside the mesh, inside the geometry, and we'll place it in the center of the object. There are other hotkeys that commonly used, and that is Insert, but that toggles, so you have to hit Insert and you'll be able to change the position. You hit Insert again and you go back to your regular manipulation tools. And of course, Modify, Center, Pivot. So here is how we can modify the position of our anchor, of our pivot point.